Hi there, and welcome to Scout the Game Week. Scout the Game Week is Fantasy Football Scout's weekly podcast brought to you by the Scout Network. In each episode, we'll look back at the game week we have just played to assess what we can learn in the next round of fixtures. I'm your host, Ryan, from the Football Chatbox. Let's scout the game week. Now, this week, I'm joined by Karan, back again on Scout the Game Week. For this time, actually, a more casual chat. I've got no script, no questions. I'm like, let's kind of like discuss and go with the flow, because we're in a game week that is just before a double, and there are so many possible chip alternatives and chip strategies that people are going to deploy this week. Even no chip strategies this week. So, I mean, for 34, that I'm like, okay, it's going to be very hard to try and curate everything into like specific questions. So, let's kind of go with the flow. First of all, Karan, how are you doing? And how's the season going so far as well?
I'm well, thanks, Ryan. How are you?
Not too bad, actually.
Yeah, I'm still not over the fact that Liverpool drew against Man United. So overall, it's gonna take some time, and maybe the best thing would be next game week's football once it starts. The season so far has been a bit of ebbs and flows. Currently ranked at 298K, about 34 points off 200K and 47 points off 100K, I think. So I don't have many expectations
Yeah.
for the remaining six
Mm.
game weeks. I think it's about either just making your rank solid where you are,
Mm.
or going a bit of couple of differentials every week and trying to see where it takes you. I might follow the latter just because 300K, there's nothing to lose.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. So I'm 253K right now. So not too far off from you, and I'm still on the hope of trying to like I'm in a mini league race, and I'm like trying to catch this guy at the top, and he's like 70 points ahead of me. Now it might be pretty impossible to try and catch that, but I'm willing to take the risk, right? Because just like you said, right, 200K, 300K. I mean, I don't really that's not going to change much for me. So I mean, getting top 100K would be nice, but anything outside that, I'm like, yeah, oh well, it is what it is. I don't really care about it. I want to
Yeah,
try
the
and
thing with my
yeah.
mini leagues is I'm on top of both of my mini leagues.
Okay.
So one is my work mini league and one is just a friend and
Yeah.
cousins kind of a thing. So I'm on top of both. I think the gap is about 65 points in one of them and about 35 or 40 points in the other. So for
Mm,
me, from that point of view, I think I'm kind of safe because most of the template picks itself for the rest of the season. But I'm thinking differentials might be the fun part of it.
yep.
So
Fair enough, right? Like at this point of because like at the start of the season, we are so focused on trying to like make right moves, right decisions, and try and like aim for rank, and then we get to a point where like we get to this latter end of the station, and then people are like, okay, mini leagues, and then you're trying to have fun in the game and trying different styles of play. That's where this I find this more the more interesting part of the season, where just like everything is like try
yeah,
different
the team
stats and
value is
everything.
there.
Yeah.
Fixtures have already been announced
Yep.
just apart from Game Week 37. So everything's in front of us. And I don't think money is going to be an issue for the rest of the season.
No, not
So
really as well. Based on how like the premiums are playing as well, they're not really shouting for oh have all of us in the same team
yep.
kind of situation. So yeah, that's like I'm way open to like um trying a few risk, because if I'm thinking of trying to catch 70 odd points, I have to try risk.
Yeah,
There's
you got
no
to go
way.
for it.
Yeah, and I can't play safe and like assume that I am going to catch those 70 points. That's impossible. Um, Now it might still be impossible, but I got to try it and see like if it's possible or not.
Especially with City and City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, all three
Mm,
of them playing in Europe. I think there could be a couple of differential um, short-term
yeah.
funds that we could try for this week or even next
Yep.
or even 35.
Now, the last time I got you on the show, you were on a free hit 34 plan. Has that
Yes,
changed?
it's it would have changed had Kelleher been a solid, sturdy 34 pick, which I doubt he is because Allison's almost back.
Mm,
Um, I've got Darwin, Kelleher, and Salah as a triple up. Jota's almost back, so I feel Darwin might be at risk,
mm.
given the recent slump in his output. So I don't think I cannot not have free hit 34. So I do have to have free hit 34.
Mm.
So kind of, I did a couple of routes where I was like, okay, what if I don't do free at 34? Maybe save it for 37 or 38 even, but doesn't look worth it. So yeah, free at 34 it is.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm currently on a dead end in 34, wildcard 35, and bench boost 37
Bench boost.
plan. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
still stuck to that.
completely opposite strategies, right?
Exactly.
Because you've
So,
got two chips that I don't have,
yeah,
and I've got one chip that you don't have.
exactly. So it's going to be very interesting conversations. I think people who are listening to this as well, I know a few people are on a free hit 34, wildcard 35, bench boost 37, and they will be looking for 1 week punts for this week as well because like they
Yeah,
don't really
that
care for 34.
I think when we go through the fixtures, I think that's where it's gonna get interesting.
Exactly. All right. So let's start with we'll speak. We won't. I don't think we'll cover all the fixtures. We'll talk about some of the more important ones. Let's start with the Newcastle versus Spurs one though, because now we got the.
Goals.
I know we got the double confirmed for for Spurs and Chelsea for game week 35. Now this is where it gets interesting because you are on a free hit 34, so you don't have to worry about the potential sell-ins or bench-ins of Spurs players per se. I, on the other hand, I'm on a dead end on 34. So I've got Pedro Porro, who scored and got like pretty good points this week, but I need to kind of like either sell him to make funds because I have zero in the bank. So actually, let's switch it to our team so people can get an idea who's watching this on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast platforms, we'll just read it out for you. So I'll start with your team first of all, Karan. So you got Keller in goal, Gabriel, Nuri, Gusto, Palmer, Son, Salah, Saka, Isaac, Darwin, and Haaland. And on the bench, you got Petrovic, Gordon, Udogi, and Tarkowski. So you got two Spurs players. And then for my team, I've got Dubravka in goal, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Region, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Odegaard, Darwin, Solanke, Haaland. And on the bench, you got Areola, Garnacho, Pedro Porro, and Brantford. Now, I am looking at the moment to potentially bench Pedro Porro. But I have two free transfers, and you also have two free transfers, which is what you
Yeah.
mentioned.
So I think for you it's a dead end in 34, right?
Yes.
So you're kind of moving away from Spurs, maybe bring them back in on a
On a
wild
wild
card
card.
35.
Yes.
Do you have value tied in on
Yes, that's
either of?
that's the problem. So I have value tied in Pedro Porro of at the moment about 0.2. Now if he increases in price, I gain an extra sale value. I'm hoping to see whether he'll increase in price this week. I don't know because he got like usually when a player
You
gets
got a
like a lot
haul.
of when they
Oh,
get a haul,
that's FPL towers for us,
I
right?
know they tend to try and rise, but we don't know, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Now, the thing is, if I have zero in the bank. Now, if I can bench Poro, if I really know I want him in my wildcard on 35.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's Udogi, who's a cheaper alternative,
Yes.
and I'm sure a lot of us, including me, in game week 30 when we wildcarded, we went Udogi instead of Porro, even though we didn't catch the haul that Porro was always showing glimpses of. So kudos to the people that have held on to him. But yeah, there's a definite point to be made between Porro, Van de Ven, or even Udogi, because even Van de Ven scored a thunder bastard header, right? So I think. Yeah, you can save your money because I don't see clean sheets for them anyway.
Yeah, that's the other
And
thing. Do you even
given
go
that
with Spurs defense?
Madison, well, honestly, I was having a chat with a couple of our Australian community members. I'm actually regretting going double up on Chelsea defense and
Oh, yeah.
also a Spurs defender on game week 30. As much as the template was there and the double game week just got announced, and I feel double Arsenal was the way to go even in game week 30. So I don't think Porro or Udogi are essentials as such, even though the fixtures are a handful. I don't see clean sheets for them.
Yeah, fair enough. That's the thing, right? So this is where even this game, I don't see clean sheets, right? I think Newcastle at home they will score.
I see a 4-3 or a 3-2 kind of a game.
Very possible, because both teams defensively aren't that great. Now, obviously, Newcastle have kept a clean sheet, but they were very fortunate, I would say, in one ways to keep a clean sheet. But I guess it's the more like so expensive Pedro Porro right now that even if I sell him, buying him back maybe might not be an issue because I'll probably not have one. Like I might not have two premiums. We don't know. We'll have to see. I haven't thought about a 35 wildcard. But the question is like, going forward, is Spurs defense worth it? Like you
Okay,
said, maybe.
while we're talking Spurs defense,
Yeah.
let's try and guess. Again, things could change with injuries and the other fixtures that are yet to be played. Let's say what would be a 35 game week wildcard defense?
So
I think
go.
people without a bench boost
Yeah.
would probably go Onana or Pickford as the goalkeeper
Yep.
and a cheap keeper. And then they would go if you're not going Onana, sorry, if you're not going Onana, you'd go Man United defense.
Hmm.
And if you're not going Pickford, you probably would go Everton defender because
Yeah, like a
Everton,
Branthwaite maybe.
Branthwaite, I went Tarkowski as
Yeah.
my Lascelles replacement last week. And then, of course, Arsenal defense still remains essential. I think they're the best defense by far in the league, and
Yeah.
they're going to close the season well, hopefully. Uh, where else do you go? Ait Nouri is coming up as an important pick. If he's injury free,
Hmm.
you can go there because good fixtures before and after 34 as well. Um, Gusto, maybe people would go there because of the doubles. Their doubles are probably better than Spurs doubles, I feel.
Yeah, I would say so because they got Aston Villa at Tottenham, which, looking from it, like defensively not great, but Gusto has a chance of like attacking return, and I think
And
that
he's cheaper.
yes, that's the thing. He's extremely cheaper compared to the Spurs defenders.
Yep.
Um,
So
now,
there's a case for no Spurs defenders, but
yep,
I'm sure a lot of Game Week 35 wildcarders will go there because of the doubles.
yeah, same. I would probably go Gusto as well. Now, the Spurs defense I probably have to see because, like, ideally, now you mentioned Everton and Wolves, they don't really have a double in 37. Now, for those who are bench boosting, then
Everton plays
slide.
Sheffield though
Yes, that's the thing.
at
And
home.
Wolves play Crystal Palace in 37.
Yeah.
So those are good single gaming fixtures as well. So for those who don't have the bench boost chip, it's a really good options to like cheap defenders, can trust them in certain games
Yep.
to pull a clean sheet and all of that. Then you've got Arsenal, who are just in
They're the
defense.
Rolls Royce
Yeah,
of defense right now.
yeah. So I mean, they don't have a double as well, but their fixtures are a bit more kind of complicated. Like you've got Spurs and United. Um, Defensively, you would expect Arsenal to keep a clean sheet, but you never know because one is a London derby, and then the United game is in Game Week 37, just one game before. Maybe they'll still be in the title deciding
Yep.
game. You never know. Anything could happen. And then they got Bournemouth and Everton. Everton, you never know. Game Week 38. I don't know whether they're still fighting
Well, they
for
might still be
relegation.
fighting for the relegation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
survival.
there's so many like narratives that we can build. But for the moment, at least we know Arsenal defense is generally pretty tight. Even though Champions League 2-2 scoreline against Bayern, that's a different story, I would say. Champions League, I give um, Bayern and the likes of Real Madrid and all more European pedigree. So
Yeah, they're not gonna play every day against those kind of
yeah,
teams, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So okay, let's go back to Spurs. Now you have Heung-min Son, right? Now you are not looking to sell Heung-min Son because obviously free hit in 34, you don't need to really sell him. Or are you thinking about
I
it?
think for me he's a season keeper.
Okay.
As much as he's not been showing form or giving points in the last couple of game weeks. There's always a monster haul in him, especially against the big teams.
Mm,
And given that Ange and Spurs are gonna have a big say in the title race, I feel he's probably the only attacker from Spurs that gives me confidence, apart from maybe
mm,
Brennan Johnson. But Brennan
yes.
Johnson again could miss a game or two, given that Werner's there, Kulusevski's there,
Mm.
Richarlison might be back soon. So Son probably for what it's worth, you want one attacker from Spurs, and maybe that's where Son becomes the template pick.
Yeah. Now you were going to say something about Madison before I kind of interrupted. What
Well,
we?
I think yeah, because we were talking about Porro
Mm,
and Udogi, and that's where because of Madison coming back, it feels like he's carrying a niggle or an injury. He's
Madison.
not been,
Yeah,
yeah,
he hasn't been the same.
he's not been at his full flow yet. Uh, but if there is a second attacker that someone's probably looking for, I would say it's either Madison or Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, at this point, I would lean more towards Brendan Johnson for the moment, at least. I kind of feel that even like whenever he's on the pitch, I feel like he impacts the game, and he gets on the
Yeah,
end of things or
there's always
creates stuff.
an assist or a goal in him.
Yeah, that's the
There's
thing.
always yeah, he's playing much more forward compared to maybe even Werner. Because I
Yeah.
think and Werner is fairly wasteful when compared to Brendan Johnson. I think Brendan Johnson, whenever he's got a chance, he scores
Mm,
or converts his chances better.
yep. That's the thing. So at the moment, I'm favoring Brennan Johnson, but Heung-min Son first, but then Brennan Johnson after. Now, for those of people who are like, let's say, looking to dead end in 34, would if you had a Heung-min Son with him playing Newcastle this week, let's say he was the only option to sell, would you still sell?
No.
Fair enough.
I think Newcastle's defense is there for the taking.
Yep.
And Son being Son, he's a clinical finisher.
Mm.
Even if he gets an odd chance outside of the box, you know he's very likely to score.
Mm.
Um, and I feel there's going to be goals in that game, so I'd be very wary of the fact that Son can perform.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay, so when I sold him in like Game Week 31, I was worried about the Forest game and I was worried about this game because both teams are defensively that he was facing aren't the best. So we'll kind of wait and see what happens. But
Yeah, and then again, I think I keep repeating myself when I say there's a problem of plenty in
yeah,
attackers this season because there's so many good picks.
mm,
And right now, I've got 7 of the 8 template picks from Game Week 30 wildcard, but not Foden.
mm,
And what happened? Foden hauled with a hat trick. So you can't have all, right?
yeah,
And that's where I think the season is going to be for the remaining of the season, and that's what makes it fun.
yeah,
That you got to pick your differentials, and then it may work or it may backfire.
yep. Fair enough. That's true. Okay, now that you mentioned like Foden and City, let's get to the City game because they play Luton this week. Now, 3-3 in the Champions League. So that tie is definitely not over. The advantage is that they bring it to the Etihad, which means
Yep.
might favor them at the moment for them towards qualifying. Having said that, do we expect rotation? Now, Foden came off with the injury, but then Pep kind of like shrugged it off. He said
Was
it
a
was
dead
just a knock.
leg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dead leg, just a knock. He said he should be fine because he said he was arguing with Pep because he got subbed off. So he should be fine. But is there a chance for rotation? Maybe we get some leaks, possibly, because the game is not too late. There is a possibility, but what do you think?
I think there's going to be rotation for sure. There's the likes of Grealish, Doku, who could very much cover the wing. You could probably see an Alvarez starting in the middle. KDB was rested.
Thick.
I think
Yeah.
he was sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there was some embargo quotes that he vomited just
Yep.
before the game, and that's why he didn't start. Not sure whether KDB still gets some minutes just to
Don't know if he'll be
warm up for the
risked.
next game.
Maybe, but I had this feeling that Real Madrid second leg is so important that Pep just wouldn't want to risk him because you never know, right?
Yeah, he's a big
KDB,
match. He's a big
yeah,
match player at home. They need to win.
yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see KDB, Foden, and Haaland, all of them benched, to be honest.
That's the thing.
Because at the end of the day, it's only Luton, and I think it's at home, right? Or is it away?
It's at home.
Yeah, so there you go. So very likely he could play Rico Lewis on the right, and um, Oscar Bob in the midfield. You know Pep. When it's about Pep roulette.
I mean,
But yeah, very important game for Madrid
yeah,
against Madrid. So
he,
I think all 3 could be benched.
I mean,
As
Pep.
much as I was
Yeah,
excited,
good.
sorry,
No,
I
no,
keep
go ahead,
saying,
go.
as much as I was excited that KDB didn't get a start, I was thinking maybe he's the differential one, that you could chase in the short term. But because later on we got to know that he was sick, yeah, maybe not the move that I want this week.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, the thing is, Pep has already shown in the Aston Villa game itself he can rotate and still kind of comfortably
Pump
beat a
teams,
team.
yes.
Yep. So I didn't even expect rotation in Aston Villa because I was like, oh, this is a big game, very important, tough team, like a team that is fighting for top 4 and all of that. And he just rotates and like, yeah, no problem. Here we go, 4-1 or something. And they're like, yep, easy. So now this is against Luton as well, relegation team as well. Now Luton do make it hard for opponents, but that's mostly when Luton are at home, not when they're away.
Yes.
So I have been contemplating potentially because, and I guess this is the kind of in one way a slight luxury potentially could backfire. If we get like news that Haaland is like not starting, I'm thinking of even potentially selling Haaland and getting in a replacement, maybe a Mateta from Crystal Palace. Now I might not play Mateta this week because he plays Liverpool. I might just put him on the bench, but I have Garnacho on the bench, so I could start Garnacho against Bournemouth if I wanted to. That is something I'm considering because I've got 2 free transfers, and if I don't really want to sell Porro, and I decide, okay, if Haaland is not starting, I could probably sell Haaland.
Yeah, you could get two doublers this week, right? I mean, when I say doublers, in preparation of
Yeah.
game week 34. Uh, and again, money's not going to be an issue on a wildcard 35, I feel. So yeah, there's if Haaland's benched, I think there's definitely a viable strategy or a plan to go Haaland out.
Mm,
Maybe consider even bringing in an Alvarez if you want to just take a short-term punt for a week.
mm.
Given that you've got two free transfers, right? And if you're kind of burning the other one, or if you're not sure what you're going to do with the other one, maybe think of Alvarez as a punt.
Probably. The reason I was thinking of the Haaland out was because, okay, they play Luton this week. If he's not playing this week, the next one is in 34. But before the 34 fixture, they have the FA Cup semi-final, which he might play a strong team, Pep, in that one against Chelsea. Then they play in 34. I think they play Brighton on the last day. On
Not sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
looking at
even
the
looked at
fixtures
the
here.
34 fixture because I'm thinking of a free hit.
Oh,
So
okay, fair enough. So they play Brighton on 34, and then in 30.
right.
So that's on a Friday here in Australia. Obviously Thursday, in the UK, and then on 35 they play Forest. Now, FA Cup, Brighton, Forest. If they beat Real Madrid, a tie against either Bayern or Arsenal. Not the easiest. So I'm like, there is rotations about to hit somewhere, either in 34 or in 35. I'm not really sure which one it's going to hit in. It could probably hit in both, like we've just seen from the Aston Villa and what did they play in Crystal Palace games. We saw rotation in both games. So that's why I'm like, okay, is it a possibility that I could probably kind of consider if he's not playing?
And that's what I think it's advantage wildcard 35 because you'd probably have seen a bit of rotation in the
Mm,
in the in
in
the
34.
33 and 34
Yeah.
fixtures so that you can take the best guess. I know with Pep you can't take the best guess, but you're still closer to game week 37 where they double. So and if there's an injury or two, so people who have wildcarded in 28 or 30 would be chasing our own tails as to where to go with Man City because you would want a triple up on Man City most
Yep.
likely in 37.
Yep, that's true because the fixtures are good, right? You definitely want Foden in. You probably want for Haaland in as well. And then the third one is that do you go for the KDB move or do you go for the? I mean, we saw Guardiola score a banger against Real Madrid this week in defense. Do you want to go for the defensive, even though they don't keep clean sheets? There is a possibility we've seen for the attacking threat. So that's why you kind of like.
Well, I'm just looking forward to all three of the teams staying in for the title hunt.
Mm,
And I think that if the title race is on,
yeah.
that would make FPL a lot more interesting for the game week 36, 37, and 38.
Yes, especially if Real Madrid, no, sorry, if City play Arsenal in the Champions League semis as well.
Wow,
I,
that would I'd be happy as a Liverpool supporter.
I think there's chaos everywhere. Rotation is about to hit, and everything will just be like next level chaos. So I'll be interested for that because chaos means like no one can predict stuff, and I guess variance is high. And when you're chasing rank, you probably want a bit more variance to like kind of hit your way.
Yeah, it'll become a lot more open ground, I feel,
Yeah.
and I think that's when you enjoy, right? Because you know that the outcome is not necessarily the best judgment of what the decision you made.
Mm.
So if you've picked the right picks for the right reasons and you get burnt, there's logic to the madness.
Yep, fair enough. All right, now from City, let's go to Liverpool. Now, Crystal Palace this week and a double in 34. And after that, no doubles after that. Now, Jota posted saying that he's back. We don't know whether that means he's just started training or whether he's going to be fit for
Well,
34.
we still play against Atlanta
Oh,
tomorrow,
yes,
is it?
that's
Or the day
also,
after?
yes,
So
yes.
we would get to see if he's on the bench or where are things at with all three of them actually. Allison, Trent, and Jota
Hmm.
are expected to be back sooner rather than later.
So, where do you stand with like Liverpool in terms of like Liverpool players to target? Because a lot of people, I had questions on my like team selection Q&A that I did on my channel where people were looking at Heung-min Son. They had two free transfers and they kind of wanted they had to kind of sell Son because no one else they could sell because they were dead ending in 34, so they needed the other players for the double in 34, and they were looking at Liverpool players to get. So some were looking at Diaz as a potential alternative, like sell Son, get Diaz in, because they already had Salah. Where would you handle
I
that?
think Diaz has been lightning over the last 3 games or
Mm,
4 games. He's back in form. He's the now in the form that we wanted Diaz to be in at the beginning of the season. So I definitely feel that the stats are there. I think I read somewhere that Darwin overall in the season has got a better XG, but in the last 6 games, Diaz's XG is higher than Darwin. I
Hmm.
think his is 0.68 or one's is 0.69. So there's a significant rise in Diaz's numbers and stats. And you can see it on the pitch, right? Even the eye test says that the amount of hard work and the grind that Diaz is putting in, he's always there in a position to score. Although he's missed a couple of sitters, but you want your players to be in those positions.
Hmm.
So I totally and given that if Liverpool keep a clean sheet or two over the next 2 game weeks, that's an extra point for Diaz,
Hmm.
and a goal gives you extra points as well compared to a forward like Darwin, for example. So I think I've got Darwin and Salah, but if I had the luxury today to pick my two, I would probably go Diaz and Salah.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Defenders, I think Van Dijk is probably the safest pick.
Yeah, I've gone
Um,
Van Dijk, but so far he's still. I took a hit for Van Dijk in like game week 30. Game week 30, I think.
did he score a header when you got him in, or
No, he hasn't
no?
got any, he hasn't got a single
Right.
clean sheet yet. I'm still waiting for him to return for that hit. But
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Liverpool have been, and I think Liverpool and Spurs are the two teams that should be keeping clean sheets on paper,
hmm,
but they find ways to concede, and that's what happened even against Man United for us. So
I know low XG shots and like Man United low XG shots. The game before that, badly scores an own goal from the most unlikely scenarios
yep,
against Sheffield United. So I'm
yeah,
like,
we find ways to concede, man.
yeah. So I'm just like, oh, when is Van Dijk going to return? Now, in general, I don't know if this is a thing, but he just somehow in double game weeks he finds a way to like score for some reason. I kind of remember him in like various double game weeks. Even this last 25, I think he did as well. So he just finds a way to return in double game weeks for some reason.
Yeah, on
Um,
my free hit, I'm thinking already if everyone's fit,
yeah.
I'd probably go Salah, Diaz, and Van Dijk as my
Mm,
three.
fair enough. Okay, so
As much as Diaz is back,
yeah,
sorry, Jota is
good.
back, so that might be a minute's risk for Diaz, because we know that Salah is a sure shot in the front
Yeah.
three, but the other two spots, there's
Mm,
3 or 4 players. As much as Gakpo is not in form and he hasn't, been in form over the last 3 to 4 months, that's where I feel Jota coming in. We needed that finishing over the last 2 games. We've missed Jota's
yes.
finishing. So I feel Jota comes straight in as soon as he's got his minutes managed in the Europa League, and that's where it'll be tricky. Who gets benched, Darwin or Diaz?
Fair enough. One to kind of wait and see. Okay. Talking about more rotation and possibilities of rotation, let's move to Arsenal, who play Aston Villa. Now, Ollie Watkins owners will probably look to potentially offload him here. Um, and then whether they get him back after, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could get him back in like
There's only
35,
one
40,
fixture, I think, against Bournemouth
in
that
34.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
But people are not, with the doubles and everything, I think very unlikely that
Well,
people,
there's a case to be made for even when you're free hitting. There's a
yeah.
case to be made for Watkins. As much as there's attraction on double game weekers, but we've been burned in the past by double game weekers,
Yeah.
right?
And all the single game
Um,
because return. Yep.
Watkins can easily brace against Bournemouth at home. So
That's true. And then
um,
game week 38 is Crystal Palace at home as well. So, also Crystal Palace away, I think. Game week 38.
yeah,
So,
but if they are fighting for top four, that
yeah.
might be a fixture for Watkins. But I feel at least he the highest scoring
Yes.
forward in the
Yes.
game?
Yes.
He is.
I think he might be the
So
highest scoring player in the game as well, if I
yeah,
am
so
not
as
mistaken.
much as we are chasing double game weekers,
Yeah.
I feel maybe there's merit in holding him.
Yeah, he's the highest scoring player as well in the game at the moment.
There. So
That's the thing, right? Now, even when I'm looking to wildcard, it may sound crazy, but his fixtures in 35, Chelsea, 36, Brighton. Now, 37, I might sell him potentially because
bad,
against
right?
Liverpool.
Chelsea and
Yeah,
Brighton.
yeah, like attacking wise, they're pretty good, I would say. So,
This reminds me of Kane of last season, where everyone was just so obsessed with Haaland. No one really was focusing on getting Kane in. And
and
I think Kane consistently performed, and I think he's very close to getting the Golden Boot.
mm,
I know Haaland had a breakthrough season with 50 plus goals across the year, but Kane was playing very well, and this version of Ollie Watkins is almost Kane light as to
mm,
what it looks.
yeah, that's the thing. And people might continue to ignore him because now his EO is just like way down. Now he's absolute differential. at this point.
Yep.
So something
I
to
wouldn't mind a Watkins brace against Arsenal,
fair enough.
even if it hurts my rank.
Fair enough. I don't think it'll hurt your rank at this point. His year is so low that it probably might not, to be honest. Because his 13 points, I don't think hurt that much this week as well, to be honest.
And is Douglas Lewis
He's
injured?
out. He's suspended.
So we don't know who's going to be on penalties, right? I know Watkins doesn't have a good record, but
yeah, I don't know who else could potentially take it.
Tillemans could take, but he's never on the pitch all the time, right? He's probably a
Yeah,
substitute.
I don't know. Liam Bay, maybe. Yabi. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, if Watkins wants to go for the golden boot, puts his hand up.
I mean, to be honest, true. Maybe if he wants to try it again, you never know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one to kind of monitor and see for those who have Watkins owners. Arsenal, on the other hand, Saka, we'll never know when Saka is fit or not fit at this point. Every day, every game, he just limps off, and then we have this always permanent flag on him.
He's becoming the new Gordon.
I know. So we'll have to wait and see on him. We were talking about Havertz before we started recording this. Now I've got Saka, Odegaard, and Gabriel, so I'm kind of locked in. Initially, though, I was considering potentially doing Odegaard to Havertz as well, because I have this feeling like Havertz could do well for some reason, and he's still doing well. So
last 6 fixtures, I think he's at 4, or last 7 fixtures, he's at 4 double-digit hauls.
Yep.
He's got 69 points in the last 7 game weeks. So on an average, about 10 points a game week.
And still a differential.
He's not on penalties. I think he's about 6% owned or 10% owned or something. So that's ridiculous for a player to be performing like that and to be so lowly owned. I feel there's even a question to be asked: do you want to get rid of Saka and bring in Havertz? If that is a short-term decision that someone wants to make.
Yeah.
Because he's getting more minutes compared to Saka lately. Saka carrying that niggle. Or even a double up, like you've got Odegaard and
I've got Odegaard.
Just imagine,
and Saka.
Ryan, if you had Havertz in place of one of those two attackers for the last 6 game weeks, you'd be in the top 100k right now.
Yeah, probably, because I've had Odegaard, and Odegaard has returned twice, but Havertz has returned like 3 or 4 times over that time. If you make a good case, because there is a possibility that Saka, potentially gets rested. Now, the only thing is it's against Aston Villa. Now, as much as City have the luxury to rotate, I don't think Arsenal have the same level of luxury to rotate as much.
Yeah, especially given that Arsenal was so close last year at this time of the season to be chasing Man City.
Yeah.
And then I think it was around this game week that their train got derailed.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm sure Arteta, and they look much more galvanized this season, but Arteta would be mindful of, keeping the group intact. So you're right. I think Man City have the luxury to rotate, but Villa can be a banana peel for Arsenal.
The one thing is, now you mentioned no Douglas Luiz, right? And I think since like Villa's last couple results and their defensive numbers have gone down significantly. So they're conceding goals quite a bit as well. So Arsenal could do well here as well in terms of attacking returns potentially. So again, if people are looking for differentials, 1 week punt, even 1 week punts, Havertz for this week as a 1 week punt is not a bad shot.
And even in 34, they've got a double game week, right? So for people, of course, who are wildcarding in 35, there's definitely merit in bringing in Havertz this week and next, and then reassessing in 35 when they play Spurs away.
Exactly, true. So kind of want to consider seeing, we'll come to captaincy as well later, because I think there'll be a few considerations if we don't look at Haaland, but again, Arsenal pretty good. Now, I think there's one more fixture that I wanted to speak about, and that would be Chelsea versus Everton. Now,
is it at Stamford Bridge, or is it
at Stamford Bridge?
Right.
Now, Everton obviously doubled in 34, Chelsea doubled in 35, and then 37. Palmer is probably the only reliable Chelsea player that I can trust at this moment. And for me, who's looking at a wild card, and I'm going, how many players do I really want for that double in 35? Given that like Newcastle have some good fixtures in 35. I think United have
Man United and Newcastle go on a really good run from 35.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, how many do I really want from Chelsea? Do I really want double Chelsea defense? I am not convinced on double Chelsea defense. But then again,
if only Man United were showing better defensive numbers,
I
think there is Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
They're probably the 18th,
yeah.
18th and
Yeah,
17th ranked defense, right?
they're so bad defensively. I've
Yeah,
been
if only because the
yeah.
fixtures are so good. They
It's possible for them to go on a run. It's possible, but they're just conceding so many shots, and it's
yeah,
like
all
yeah,
yeah, I think 160 shots in 5 games or
yep,
something
yep.
ridiculous like that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So
So if only that was an option,
mm,
one could make a case for going just one Chelsea defense, so either the keeper or uh, I still feel you could just go Gusto and Palmer on game week 35
mm,
if you want to invest in the double game weekers from Chelsea.
yep,
And there's a case for Onana to be your keeper.
yep. That's the thing. I kind of had to wait and see because I'm on a bench boost, so I probably want two keepers. Now the thing is, I would go Onana as my keeper, not because United defense is good, but because the amount of shots they concede, he has to make so many
And
saves.
he's been saving, and I think he's still one of the top 2 or top 3
I
scoring goalkeepers.
think he is top.
He was the top when I saw him last a couple of game
Uh,
weeks ago.
he oh no, he's just been beaten by Pickford by a point.
Yeah, and I was just going to make a case for Pickford
Yes.
because we know how stubborn Everton's defense can be.
Mm,
And if they're fighting for relegation, I do see a clean sheet or two over the next 3, 4 game weeks.
mm, kind of,
I
and
know
especially if
clean
the
sheets are a rarity lately,
yeah,
but the fixtures are there. They're fighting for relegation. I think they play Sheffield, they play Luton as well.
yep.
So there's a couple of relegation battle fixtures there. So that would mean, if not a clean sheet, a lot of save points.
In 34, they played Forest as well as part of that double against
Yeah,
Liverpool. So at least one clean sheet maybe against Forest. Very
yeah,
possible.
very yeah, and even with Liverpool, I think given that Liverpool love to attack
Mm.
and Everton love to defend, there could be a lot of save points. So I'm
Yes.
I'm seeing Pickford as probably the season keeper for the next six
Mm.
game weeks if one is looking for a steady heady keeper who would give them points.
Yep. Fair enough. We've gone back to game week 1 basically at this
Oh
point.
yes,
Yeah.
that's where we started.
Yep. Now, the other Chelsea player, I think something to monitor, I would say, would be Gallagher.
He's been
Inter.
going under the radar, hasn't he? Because
Yeah.
he's never been considered as an FPL pick, but he scores goals.
Yes, that's right. And he's taking set
He's
pieces
the
as well.
he's the player that we thought Sterling would be
Yeah, you could say that
as the
probably.
second
Yep.
defender.
Yep. So I'm thinking about it. I don't even know what his price is to be honest, because I haven't like really looked into it. And the thing is, like, we started this pod by saying so many options in attack that you want. So I don't really know if I want to try and get a Gallagher who's 5.4 by the way.
Just going
So
off topic,
yeah,
but similar to Gallagher, McAllister, 5.9
yes,
or something.
yeah,
Last 6 game weeks, he's just been the
get,
moment Endo has come back and McAllister is now playing as an attacking midfielder.
mm,
I know we went off topic, but similar price point
mm,
with a double game week in 34. There's a case to be made for him. But yeah, Gallagher, I've seen him score very crucial goals for Chelsea. As
mm,
much as then they concede and it ends up being a 2-2 or whatever,
yeah,
but he's there to assist or score a goal.
yeah. That's what. So one to monitor, I guess, for those who are looking for like punts. This is just generally at this point punt territory because we never know, anything can happen.
No one's gonna. I mean, you're not. I know you're not bringing in Gallagher. You're not bringing. I'm not bringing in
Yeah.
McAllister. But it's the kind of discussion that we're having, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, if people are looking to try and gain rank from other players who are not template, these are the kind of players you probably have to start looking at because these are the players who are going under the radar and still delivering. To be honest, not like that. We're not talking about players who are in bad form or something. These are players
Yeah.
who are in form, but it's just they're not the popular FPL player picks. That so no one really talks about them.
Yeah, I'm sure all the players, so Havertz, Gallagher, and McAllister, they're
Mm,
probably under 10% own, give or
mm,
take.
So that's what. So some actually players to kind of look at. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, those are the fixtures that I wanted to talk about. So before we end it up, let's just quickly touch on your team. What are you planning with your 2 free transfers for the moment?
To be honest, I've got zero clue right now because I set it up as a bus team. I think I've got Gordon first bench. Then I've got two defenders playing difficult fixtures. I think Udogi plays Newcastle, and then I've got Tarkowski playing Chelsea. Uh, but having said that, I feel I need to free up my Liverpool spot. So I'm potentially thinking of a keeper transfer.
Mm,
And I feel, given that I don't have a bench boost, I could play Petrovic in game week 35 as a double. And Do Chelsea double again in 37 or
Yes.
they do? Okay. Um, I'm not sure where to go with my keeper, but I feel I might need a double up or a triple up for Liverpool just because I'm a Liverpool fan and
Yep.
I know that it's Klopp's last season
Yep.
and if they're in the title race, I just want to make memories and have fun with the game. So if not, I don't have many moves to make. I was thinking Saka to Foden,
Yep.
but Foden's picked up a knock.
Yep.
If we get a league Foden starting, I might go that way.
Okay.
If we get a league KDB starting, I might go that way, just as a juicy
Differential.
differential.
Yep.
Because I've got free at 34, so I can bring in the Arsenal assets that I want.
Yep.
Uh, Saka is again carrying a knock, so
Yep.
it's about getting differential on that Saka spot if I can. And then I'm thinking maybe I just start Gordon because Gordon's home form. So
And
to be
Spurs'
honest,
defense, like we've spoken about.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what moves I want to make. And that's where I was thinking, because I don't have any moves to make, I've got two free transfers. Maybe I start thinking of swaying away from the free at 34, but I've tried doing that and I'm not getting the right assets in my team.
Mm.
Had Kelleher been a nailed down keeper starter for 34, things would have looked different for me.
That's true. Fair. We still don't know, right? We'll have to wait and see what Klopp says in his press conference or post-match press conference after the Europa League game to see where Alisson is at.
Yeah, you never know, right? If someone picks up an injury, if Darwin picks up an injury, for example, that makes my life easier for the moves that I want to make. But
Yep.
I hope he doesn't pick up an injury.
Fair enough. I'm also in the same boat. I kind of don't know what exactly I want to do. I don't know if I want to sell Porto or I don't know if I want to sell Haaland. Um, at the moment, it's one of those two. Unless someone else picks up an injury that I have, then kind of probably will react accordingly. But yeah, I'm kind of in limbo, to be honest.
If someone wants to make moves, so if I was to make moves this week, I think it's a good entry point to go Man United,
Yeah.
especially on a free at 34, because Man United then have a good run from 35 through with a double in as well.
Mm.
Which other teams have a good entry point? I think for people that don't have Newcastle attack,
Yeah, Isak.
it's a good entry point, Isak or Gordon, because then free at 34 if someone has it, and then their fixtures are good
Yep.
throughout the end of the season. Which other teams stand out? I think
City
who's
you
Wolves
mentioned.
playing? Yeah, who's
Um,
Wolves playing?
Wolves are playing Forest.
That's a good entry point,
Yeah.
right? Because if Nouri is fit, if someone doesn't have him, I think that's a luxury move
Yep.
that one can make.
Yep.
Even Cunha, if someone's not playing a free hit 34, Cunha is a good punt because I think they double in 34.
Yes, they double in 34.
Yeah. So Wolves, Man United, and Newcastle, I think are a good entry point. If someone's free hitting,
Yeah.
maybe go Newcastle, Man United, and if someone's not free hitting,
Then Wolves
Wolves.
potentially. Yep. Fair enough. All right.
And then you're making a luxury move with potentially bringing Mateta in. So
If Haaland is out,
yeah.
that's the thing. So we'll have to wait and see. That I'm not really sure. It's either Mateta or if I have to sell Poro, then it's probably Ent Nuri. But then I end up with 4 defenders in the double game week in 34, which I don't want to do. So that is why I'm trying to avoid this Potter move because I have Branthwaite, I have
But
Van
of
Dijk.
your 4 defenders,
Yeah.
3 of them have good attacking threat, right? Gabriel, Ait Nouri,
Yep.
and Van Dijk.
Yep. So I
Would
probably
be your
might
fourth?
bench Branthwaite.
Yeah. So you're starting Palmer.
No, I would be.
Which of the 8 attackers would you be benching?
I would sell Garnacho for a Crystal Palace attacker, and bench Palmer and start Haaland.
Yeah. See, benching Palmer is again
But it's against Chelsea. So it's against Arsenal.
against Arsenal away.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal away. So
That's the thing.
yeah, true. There's merit to that as well.
Yeah. So
But I think the best play right now when we're recording the video on a Wednesday night, I feel the best play is to wait because
yes.
there's more fixtures to be played in this game week.
Yep.
And wait as close to the deadline on Saturday night, just so that we know if there's any leaks
Yes.
around Man
That's the thing.
City.
Yep.
Because Man City is probably the upside play this week against Luton.
Yeah, I agree. Having said that, captaincy. Where are you looking for captaincy?
I think my bus captain is on Haaland.
Same.
And we've spoken about Haaland that if he doesn't start, you might remove him. I think
Okay, let's say
Son,
if he doesn't
Son,
start. Yes, go ahead.
Son.
Okay.
I think
don't have
Son
Son, so
is
he's out. Yeah.
well, he played. I think the reverse fixture, he scored a goal and he got an assist, and I
Yeah.
think it was a double-digit haul with 2 or 3 bonus points. And the only fixture that shouts goals to me is that fixture.
What about Now, I know Salah hasn't been in the best of form because he's missing so many chances, but him against Palace, potentially?
I had him captain last week. I
Yeah.
had him captain the week before, I think.
Okay.
Um, and I think the penalty was, I wouldn't say it was lucky, but it was from an FPL perspective, we got lucky with the
Mm.
points.
Mm.
Um, yeah, Palace can be cagey as as a defense.
Fair enough. Then
Yeah, I wouldn't go Salah.
the other one is I mentioned Aston Villa's poor defense. Saka or even a Havertz, Wild Havertz, I don't know. Maybe too hard because we won't know the team.
Don't
And
tempt me. Don't tempt me. I might even bring Havertz and captain him
okay,
then.
no, don't do that because we
No,
don't know what team will
I think
play.
Son is probably up there with the likes of Haaland. If
Okay,
Haaland doesn't start, or if you get a leak, or if you get a sniff that he's not going to start,
enough.
Son probably has the upside.
Yep.
Who is Palmer playing again?
Everton, Chelsea
Okay,
at home.
yeah. See, Chelsea at home. I think Palmer at home is a different player.
Yes, compared to away. Which
Yeah,
I wish I took that advice when I captained him last week against Sheffield United, but here we are.
yeah. I don't think there's much upside last week because two players. I think
Yeah,
the top four captains.
all
Two of them scored 5. Two of them
yep,
scored 8.
yep. So that wasn't
So
much of a difference there. Yeah.
yeah, could have been a big swing had Salah taken all his chances.
Yes. True. But he
Um,
didn't. So here we
yeah,
are. Um,
I'm still recovering from that.
fair enough. I wouldn't talk anymore about that. So okay, I think there are options this week, but at the moment Haaland is the straightforward favorite option if he's starting.
And if someone's chasing, go Son, maybe even an Isak.
Unfortunately, I
Punty,
don't have both.
very punty.
Yeah. So if I'm chasing, I don't know. I might think of Salah just because I'm chasing. I don't know. We'll see. Because I kind of have to take this is like if I need to catch up so many points, I have to take captaincy differentials because just having different players alone is not going to be enough.
Yeah, and the template is so strong.
Yep.
I think for the run in top, the front 8 pick themselves.
Yep.
So
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's basically it, Karan. That's all I've got. So thank you for your time today. Do you have anything to plug?
no, always a pleasure having myself appear on these pods with yourself, Ryan. Thanks for having me. And you can find me on Twitter, Karan_FPL. Yeah, looking forward to the run in.
Awesome. And your Twitter handle is under your name on the videos of anyone who's watching this video. Do follow Karan. And also it'll be plugged on the socials. This time we'll make sure that we put the correct handle as well. Last time we put the wrong one. But this time we'll make sure we put the correct one. And you can also find me, Football Chatbox, on YouTube where I do weekly videos and deadline streams and sane weekly videos. I have a podcast with Baker FPL. Basically tonight UK time, morning Australia, on the Football Chatbox we're going to be discussing for GameWeek 33 and also how to get towards 34. So that'll be on YouTube. So that's it for this week's Scout the Game Week. I'll be back after GameWeek 33 and looking ahead to GameWeek 34. Green arrows all.